This is Miss Yost. I wanted to welcome you digitally to my class, and for parents, this should be really good information for you. Of course, you can always email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me, and I will provide that for you. But I just wanted to dive in. Hopefully, this will suffice in place of our back to school night. But this PowerPoint has links on it, so you'll be able to click on the PowerPoint to the links in your own time if you want to click and see what our other classes are like, what I cover in each class, and it's just a good all-in-one spot for a lot of information about what your student is going to be doing in each of my classes. So a little bit about me. That's me, professional headshot right there, a long time ago. I thought I would use that other than what I normally look like, working from home. So my background, I grew up in Estacada, which was actually close to being on fire this year. So I'm a small town girl, but I definitely did not want to live in Estacada the rest of my life. I wanted to go into the world, become a CEO, do all the big things. So I didn't become a CEO, but I did go into marketing, and I loved my time at Oregon State University. Go Beavs! And I got my master's in teaching a few years after graduating at Eastern Oregon, and that was a great program. But my background is in marketing research and graphic design. So I did work in the corporate world for quite a few years before going back and becoming a teacher. And my main functions, I guess you could say, in that world were centered around doing marketing research and collecting data for companies on how their clients used their products and what they didn't like about it, and compiled all that data for them so that they could make smart decisions about what they wanted to do in terms of their marketing efforts and how to revise their products or services. And that was really fun. I loved that because I'm such an analytical person. But I also have an artistic side. I love graphic design, and I did minor in that in college. I kind of call myself a graphic design school dropout because I focused more on my marketing major, and I did a ton of work for a graphic or a marketing research firm in college. And that took up a lot of my time when they promoted me to be the lead project manager for that. So I decided to put graphic design on the back burner, unfortunately, but I ended up doing it later on in life. Can't help it. I love it. And so that's kind of how I have experience in both and what I bring to the classroom. My interests, I love photography. I know that's kind of weird, another art tangent. I have my own photography business. I do weddings and elopements in the summer, and I've always been enraptured by film photography. It just is something magical about it. So I do that for fun. I also am a big Lord of the Rings fan and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, like that whole series of movies. I do like the new movie that they put out, although it makes me a little bit sad because it's not what I was expecting. I also am very proud that I have plants that are alive still. That's a big accomplishment for me. And I do love plants. I also put in there that I traveled by myself in college. I'm a huge fan of other cultures and other foods. So I'm kind of adventurous in terms of just what I like to do in life. And hopefully I bring that into the class and enrich the class and help the students with whatever it is they're wanting to do. So that's a little bit about me. I have my contact information up there, my email address, as well as my voicemail number in case you prefer to send a voicemail. I don't check it as often as I should because I usually don't get any voicemails. So if you don't hear from me after a few days after leaving a voicemail, please email me. Okay, so here's our table of contents. These are just sections and not necessarily pages because the digital media pathway, I do have a few slides on, but this is what I'm going to cover. Tour of our class. Typically, I do that for each class that I take or that I teach. And so for this particular slide, you will not see that, but I will have links that you can click on to take tours of the class. And then our daily schedule, my attendance policy, grading policy, our pathway, and how to contact me. So here is a little bit of a, I guess, uh, bookmark that you can look at. These are all links to the different classes that I teach. Graphic design 1 is like entry level. We learn about the design process, the elements and principles of art, and we start using Illustrator and Photoshop. Graphic design 2, we kind of move into more advanced work. We work in InDesign. It preps students for getting into our publications course, which is our class that I teach that kids can get into if they want to be a part of the school magazine, which is Damn Mag. And the publications class is just for that magazine. I also teach photography, the Intro Digital Photography 1 class, and video journalism, which is similar to filmmaking. We focus primarily on how the software works, how to film with different camera angles, camera movement, very basic intro to filmmaking for students who are really interested in that. So here's the daily schedule, and I'm not super tight with this in terms of like this is exactly what we do every single week, because some weeks I do need to lecture every single day and we don't have a lot of time for in-class work. So typically what I like to do, Mondays and Thursdays, I deliver content like lectures with activities and get any questions answered from students. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, we check in and I kind of just sit on Zoom with the kids, answer questions. We go through daily warm-ups typically if we don't have a large project that we're working on. But I will check in with kids and go back over the assignment, what I'm expecting, here's some examples, answering questions, technical difficulties, going through that stuff because students, it's really hard working from home and having technology work for you. So I spend a lot of time troubleshooting through technology issues with students at home. And it takes a lot of time. So that's kind of why I set up this schedule to have dedicated days for lecturing and the other days for working through problems with the students and doing activities together. So it works out really well, and it keeps a balance of not assigning too much work because doing it every day, I can definitely assign too much work. So this schedule kind of keeps me in check, and it gives us enough time to work together collaboratively on Zoom and for me to answer questions and be available for students. The attendance policy, I do expect students to attend every single day on Zoom. We check in. If we don't spend the entire time on Zoom, usually how it works is I'll be on there for like 50 minutes or 60 minutes, and the last 10 minutes students can take to work or we'll work with Zoom on, those kinds of things. But I do expect students to check in, come in on Zoom every single day. And if they can't, they can just email me and say, hey, I have a dentist appointment or whatever. And as long as they check on the calendar, they can see what we did for that day, and that will get them caught up. I take attendance by having students put their name in the chat box or having them email me if they weren't able to attend that day, and I can update their attendance. Usually, if I were to do this by the work that they do, It wouldn't be accurate for their attendance every day because sometimes we work on a project that spans a couple of days. So, if they weren't able to hop on at the very beginning or the very end or whatever and do an exit ticket or whatever I'm doing for attendance, sometimes, it doesn't work as quickly as just putting their name into the chat box. So that's typically how I take attendance. And then if students miss class for whatever reason, like a dentist appointment or what have you, I do have all the Zoom videos recorded for that day, and they will be on the calendar for that day after class. These videos are unlisted and no one else can see them except for the people who are in the class. So if there's any like worry about privacy or anything like that, that is what the district directed us to do. And so we are just following district guidelines on that. But I do try and make everything private so that we respect privacy. And of course, we do not require students to have their cameras on out of respect of privacy as well. But it is really nice for me to see everyone's faces. So I do encourage students to have their cameras on if they can. Otherwise, I'm chatting to little black boxes and that have letters, and I'm not really understanding or seeing if you can understand. So that's just my little spiel about Zoom videos. The grading policy. So this year I'm grading on proficiency. Normally I do points-based because all of my classes are usually articulated with a community college. But because we cannot meet all of the community college learning targets this year because we are learning at a distance, then I had to revert back to proficiency-based grading. But all of the assignments count. So that means every single assignment should be turned in, and I do give a grade for it, but I take the average of all of those grades. So if you get a 4 and a 3 and then a 2 and then a 1, I take all of those grades and I just get the average for it, and that's your final score. So that encourages students to participate and do all of the work, which I typically don't give a ton of busy work. All the work that I give is directly related to learning targets, but that is the way that I manage it. I give feedback on Canvas. If students don't get a perfect score, I usually give feedback and say, hey, this is why you didn't get a perfect score. This is what you can do to fix it, and then turn it in, and I'll give you a full grade. So that feedback is always given to students so that they know what they can do to improve. And of course, you can email me with any questions about anything else for grading. Okay, so the digital media pathway, I did talk briefly in the previous slide about this, why I'm doing proficiency rather than points-based this year. Most of the time, my classes are dual credit, so kids get college credit and high school credit, and I grade the same way that college would grade, which is points. But this year, because I can't expect students to have MacBook Pros with the software and have all this expensive equipment, we cannot meet the same learning targets that the college has. So we are doing proficiency just for this year until we come back together. So normally in the digital media pathway, students get college credit. I said not this year because we can't meet, but in years previous. So hopefully when we come back, we can start that up again. But the digital media pathway is actually a set of courses that I teach that give students skill sets in the graphic design and video editing design world. And what we focus on are skills in basic graphic design, magazine layout, website building, and video editing. And if you want to learn more about all the stuff that we do, this link will go to our website, and it should show you right here. I have a billion tabs open. What we do right here. And there's a little video. Here are our courses. And it's really awesome. We we are really like proud of what the students create and accomplish. And it's just really cool to be able to show off their work and show that they can gain skills that are actually useful in the career that they choose. So I'm going to go back to presenting. So if you want to learn more, the link is right there. So I'm going to play this video about what is the pathway, just so you can kind of get a little bit more of a visual on what it is.
Do you have an interest in photography, graphic design, and video editing? Well, there's a career pathway for that. Education has to change to meet industry demands for advanced skill sets. No longer can we learn pure theory. We have to apply our knowledge in real-world scenarios. Our digital media pathway allows students to gain skills with design editing softwares and collaborating with industry experts. As a student, you will be exiting this pathway knowing your way around programs like Photoshop, Premiere, Illustrator, and InDesign. You will know how to move through the design process, from client brief to full style guide. You will make and edit videos, pictures, and even school layouts for the publication Damn Magazine. Along with all these skills, you will get the opportunity to be certified by Adobe in specific programs and will have a full professional portfolio to showcase your work. What path are you on?
So that was created by one of our students a few years ago. He now does professional video as well as music editing in Berlin. And I mean, you can tell he did such a good job. It just amazes me how talented kids are, and how if you give them a few skill sets in these programs, they will create some amazing content. So that is an overview of what the pathway is, kind of what students get out of being a part of it, and the skill sets that they gain. So if you're interested more about that, obviously you can go to our website. You can email me as well. So there are some recommended courses that we say students should take if they want to complete the pathway. The first one is the Graphic Design 1 class, Graphic Design 2, Digital Photo 1, Web Design, and Publications. And Publications is our capstone class. You do have to complete that to be a what we call a completer or concentrator. There is a cord that goes along with that. Some students, they do go on to gain internships. They have professional portfolios that allow them to get into design programs. We had a student who got into the design program at U of O, which is difficult to get into, but the work that they created in our class allowed them to show their skills. So there's quite a bit that students get out of this, including guest speakers that come that work in the professional design world. I personally, in order to keep up the funding that we get, as well as making sure that we have a rigorous program, I have a panel of graphic design and industry experts who come to review the capstone course content that students create, and they give feedback on it, and then also give feedback to me every year on my curriculum and what else I could teach to give skills to students, so that when they get into college, or if they decide they want to do graphic design on their own, what are those skills that they really need? And those are soft skills like professionalism, as well as the technical skills that surround being able to use the software. What does it mean to be able to design something for print, or design something to be on a computer screen? There's lots of technical differences in those, and understanding that will allow them to have really great skills to go directly into the workforce. So we try to make these 5 classes very, very specific in terms of the skills that they get, and we center that on what the professionals in the industries say that they recommend that we do. So if you have questions about that, let me know. You are not required to take all of them. If you decide you only want to take 1 or 2, that's totally fine. Don't let the word pathway scare you, because I know a lot of people, they do get scared when they hear the term pathway. They think you're stuck, but you're not. You can go into different classes, and if you decide, oh, I don't really like this, then just don't forecast for the other courses. If you're really interested in becoming part of our magazine, we only require you to take graphic design 1 and 2, and then that allows you to take our publications course. So student work, there's a link to the portfolio on our website, so you can see student work. We also have a link to our magazine, Damn Mag, which is an amazing publication that students put together. This is our most recent issue from last year. And students, this is all student led. They put this together. They lay out all of the pages. They design everything that goes into here. I just kind of give feedback and help them whenever they have technical difficulties. But they determine everything that goes in here. They also distribute the physical magazine when we can, and they come up with ideas for the content that goes into the magazine. So if students are interested in this, they can submit to this website. If you just want to submit artwork or written pieces, you just go to submissions, and everyone in the high school is welcome to submit to the magazine, and we highly encourage it. You do not have to be a part of the magazine to submit. We would love to have all students become a part of that. So that is Damn Mag. If you have any questions about anything, or you're interested in joining, or want to know more, please email me. That is my email again, and my voicemail number. And then once again, for the digital media website, if you're interested in it, it is right there. But that is all I have. Thank you for paying attention. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to having your student in class.